Please subscribe, hit the like button, and let us know in the comments where you are watching from. My name is Amanda. I spent 18 months secretly saving for my husband's dream car, a vintage 1967 Mustang he'd talked about since our first date. I planned to surprise him on his 42nd birthday, but when I walked into his office early that morning with the keys, I found something that made the gift meaningless. The car was parked 2 blocks from his office building, a deep blue beauty with chrome that caught morning sunlight like jewelry. I'd arranged everything perfectly. The dealership delivered it at 6 a.m. I had the keys in a velvet box, a giant red bow tied to the hood, and a card I'd spent 3 days writing. 18 months of overtime shifts at the hospital, skipped lunches, and shopping at thrift stores instead of boutiques. Every dollar was carefully hidden in a separate account he didn't know existed. Ryan had wanted this car since he was 16. He showed me photos on our 3rd date and told me about seeing one just like it at a car show with his father before he passed away. It represented something to him: legacy, connection, a dream deferred by practical choices like mortgages and insurance payments. His birthday was a Thursday. I'd taken the morning off, planning to bring him to the car before work. His office opened at 8. I arrived at 7:15, knowing he'd be there early like always, buried in spreadsheets and client portfolios at his financial consulting firm. The building was quiet. Security knew me, waved me through with a smile. I took the elevator to the 4th floor, velvet box in hand, rehearsing the moment, how his face would light up, how he'd be speechless for once. My practical husband, who planned everything, reduced to boyish excitement. The office door was unlocked. I pushed it open quietly, wanting to surprise him. What I saw stopped my heart. Ryan wasn't alone. His desk chair was turned away from the computer, toward the leather sofa against the wall. And on that sofa sat his business partner, Lauren. Her blouse was unbuttoned. Ryan's tie was loose, hanging around his neck. They were close, too close, his hand on her knee, her fingers touching his face. They heard the door, turned, saw me standing there with the velvet box, and an expression that must have looked like someone had punched me in the chest. The room froze. 3 people suspended in a moment that couldn't be taken back. Ryan stood quickly, guilt washing over his face, started to speak, to explain, but I was already backing away, the velvet box feeling impossibly heavy in my hands. I turned and walked down the hallway, into the elevator, through the lobby, while security asked if I was okay. I wasn't okay. I'd spent 18 months sacrificing for a man who was spending his mornings with someone else. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, hands shaking too badly to drive. Ryan called. I didn't answer. He called again and again. Text messages flooded my phone. Amanda, please, let me explain. It's not what you think. Come back. We need to talk. I drove to the one place I could think, clearly my sister Michelle's house across town. She opened the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. I told her everything. The months of saving, the surprise, walking into his office. Lauren is on the sofa with her blouse open. Michelle's expression darkened. She asked how long I thought it had been going on. I had no idea. Hours, days, months, years. She made coffee I couldn't drink and asked questions I couldn't answer. Had I noticed anything before? Changes in behavior, late nights, distant affection. I thought back. Ryan had been working longer hours over the past year. More business dinners with Lauren, his partner of 6 years. More weekend meetings at the office. But they ran a successful firm together. I'd trusted that work was work. Michelle suggested checking our finances, our phone records, looking for patterns I'd missed while I was busy saving for a car. I pulled up our bank statements on my phone, joint account, individual accounts, credit cards. Everything looked normal at first. Then I saw its charges at restaurants I'd never been to, hotel stays in our own city, nights Ryan had said he was working late at the office, wine purchases, jewelry from a boutique downtown that I'd never received. The evidence had been there all along. I'd just been too focused on my surprise to see it. Michelle watched my face change as I scrolled. She asked what I wanted to do. Confront him, leave him, fight for the marriage. I didn't know yet, but I knew one thing. The dream car sitting 2 blocks from his office was mine now, not his. and I was going to make sure he understood exactly what he'd lost. I hired a private investigator that afternoon. His name was Marcus Chen, recommended by Michelle's divorce attorney friend. Marcus had silver hair and tired eyes that had seen too many versions of this story. He listened while I explained the situation, showed him the photos I'd taken of our bank statements, and gave him Ryan's and Lauren's information. He said he'd have preliminary findings within 48 hours, standard surveillance document their movements, confirm the nature of their relationship, and provide evidence suitable for divorce proceedings if it came to that. I spent those 2 days gathering my own evidence. I went through Ryan's home office while he was at work, photographing documents, copying files from his computer. I found a second phone hidden in his desk drawer, not a burner, but an older smartphone he'd supposedly replaced. It still worked. The messages told a story that made my stomach turn. The affair had been going on for 2 years. 2 years of lies. Messages between Ryan and Lauren discussing their future together. How they'd eventually dissolve the business partnership and start fresh somewhere else. How they needed to wait until the firm was sold, until the timing was right, until they'd secured enough capital to make the transition. They'd been planning an exit together while I worked overtime, saving for a car to make him happy. I found something else in those messages, references to the Amanda problem, discussions about how I was too trusting and wouldn't see it coming. Lauren had written, "She thinks you're at the office." So predictable. Ryan had responded, "I feel guilty sometimes." Lauren's reply, "Then stop, we've come too far." The cruelty was casual, comfortable. They'd been mocking me while I sacrificed for them. Marcus called on Saturday with his preliminary report. He'd followed them for 2 days. They'd met at a hotel on Thursday afternoon, the same day I'd found them. They'd had lunch together on Friday at an expensive restaurant, holding hands across the table. They acted like a couple, comfortable, established. Marcus also found something I hadn't expected. Lauren was married to her husband David, had no idea. She'd been lying to both of us, conducting an affair while maintaining 2 separate lives. That information changed everything. This wasn't just about my marriage. Another person was being betrayed. Another family was built on lies. I asked Marcus to document everything, every meeting, every hotel visit, every moment they thought they were safe from discovery. Then I made a decision that would destroy them both. I was going to expose everything, not just to Ryan, to Lauren's husband, to their business partners and clients, to everyone who trusted them professionally and personally. I was going to take the thing they valued most, their reputation, and demolish it the way they'd demolished my trust. But first, I needed to secure my own future. I contacted a divorce attorney, a woman named Patricia Simmons, who specialized in high-asset dissolution. I showed her everything: the messages, the bank records, Marcus's surveillance reports. She smiled grimly and said, "We had an excellent case." Patricia advised me to separate our finances immediately, open my own accounts, transfer my salary deposits, freeze joint credit cards, protect myself before Ryan realized what was coming. I did all of it, quietly, efficiently, while Ryan came home each evening and kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day, and pretended everything was normal. I planned the confrontation for Ryan's birthday party. We'd scheduled it 3 weeks out, a small gathering at our house with friends, family, colleagues. Ryan thought I'd moved past what I'd seen in his office. I'd been distant but civil. He'd apologized repeatedly, sworn it was a one-time mistake, begged for a chance to rebuild trust. I'd said I needed time. He'd given me space, backed off, probably relieved I wasn't demanding immediate answers. He had no idea what was coming. The party was on Saturday evening. 30 people in our living room. Ryan's colleagues from the firm, friends from college, my sister Michelle, Ryan's mother, Helen. Lauren arrived with her husband David, whom I'd contacted anonymously days before, sending him copies of Marcus's surveillance photos with a note saying, "Thought you should know what your wife does during business hours." David looked shell-shocked. He knew, and he'd come anyway. Probably to confront Lauren publicly or simply to see the evidence himself. At 7 o'clock. I stood in the center of the room and asked for everyone's attention. Ryan thought I was about to give a birthday toast. His smile was nervous but hopeful. I started by thanking everyone for coming. Then I told them I had a surprise for Ryan. 2 surprises, actually. The first surprise was outside. I led the entire party out to the driveway. where the 1967 Mustang sat gleaming under our porch lights. Ryan's jaw dropped, his eyes filled with tears. He started toward the car, disbelief and joy transforming his face. I handed him the keys, told him I'd spent 18 months saving, every overtime shift, every sacrifice, all for this moment. He hugged me, whispering thank you, telling me he didn't deserve this, didn't deserve me. I agreed. He didn't deserve it. That's why I had a second surprise. I pulled out my phone and projected it onto our garage door, using a portable projector I'd set up earlier. Images appeared. Marcus's surveillance photos. Ryan and Lauren are at the hotel, at restaurants, walking together, kissing in parking lots. Text messages scrolled across the white surface, their discussions about leaving, their mocking comments about me, their plans for a future that didn't include their current spouses. The crowd went silent. Ryan's face drained of color. Lauren started backing toward her car, but David blocked her path, his expression cold and furious. I explained calmly that Ryan and Lauren had been having an affair for 2 years, that they'd been planning to leave their spouses and dissolve their business partnership, that every business dinner, every late night, every conference trip had been a lie. Ryan tried to speak. I cut him off, told him the car was legally mine, titled in my name, purchased with my money, that I was keeping it, along with the house, which was in my name, thanks to an inheritance I'd used for the down payment, that I'd already filed for divorce, frozen our accounts, and documented everything for court. Patricia stepped forward from the crowd. I'd invited her specifically for this moment. She handed Ryan the divorce papers, smiled professionally, and said he'd be hearing from us soon. Then I turned to Lauren's husband, David, told him I was sorry he'd found out this way, but he deserved to know the truth, that I had copies of everything if he needed evidence for his own proceedings. David nodded slowly, looked at his wife with an expression of pure devastation. Then he walked to his car and left without a word. Lauren ran after him, heels clicking frantically on the pavement. Ryan stood there holding keys to a car he'd never drive, surrounded by people who now knew exactly who he was. His mother was crying, his colleagues were backing away, murmuring about professional ethics and conflicts of interest. I told everyone the party was over, that they should leave. I was sorry they had to witness this, but I was done protecting Ryan's reputation at the expense of my dignity. They filed out, some hugged me, some avoided eye contact. Michelle stayed, helping me clean up while Ryan sat in the garage, staring at the Mustang with empty eyes. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. I kept the house, kept the car, got 60% of our joint assets based on Ryan's infidelity and financial deception. The judge was particularly unimpressed with the evidence of his using joint funds for his affair. While I scraped together savings for a gift, Ryan and Lauren's business partnership dissolved. Their clients learned about the affair. Small town, big gossip. Several pulled their accounts, uncomfortable with the ethical implications of trusting financial advisors who lied to their own spouses. The firm collapsed within 8 months. Ryan moved to another state, started over at a smaller company. The Mustang haunted him, I heard through mutual friends, knowing it existed, that I drove it, that it represented everything he'd thrown away for a relationship that imploded the moment it was exposed. Lauren and David divorced. She moved away. Last I heard, she was working in retail, her finance career destroyed by the scandal. David remarried 2 years later, sent me an invitation, actually, thanking me for giving him the truth when he needed it. I still drive that Mustang. Took it on a cross-country road trip last summer. Michelle came with me. We drove through 10 states, stayed in cheap motels, ate at diners, and rebuilt something I'd lost during my marriage. The sense that I could trust my own judgment, that I was worth more than being someone's joke. The car means something different now, not a symbol of sacrifice for someone else's dream, but a reminder that I chose myself, that I took something meant to celebrate a lie and turned it into proof of my resilience. I met someone new 8 months ago. His name is James. He's a high school teacher, drives a practical sedan, and has never lied to me about where he is or who he's with. We take things slow. I'm cautious now in ways I wasn't before, but I'm also stronger, clearer about my worth. Sometimes people ask if I regret the public confrontation, if I should have handled it privately. I tell them no. Ryan and Lauren had conducted their affair publicly in restaurants, hotels, places they thought they were safe because I was too trusting to check. They'd mocked my predictability, relied on my blindness, The public exposure was proportional. They wanted to build a life together on the ruins of 2 marriages. Instead, I made sure everyone knew the foundation they were building on was rotten. To everyone watching this, listening to this story, if you're sacrificing for someone, make sure they're worth it first. If you're planning surprises, make sure you're not the one being surprised by their betrayal. And if you discover lies, document everything before you confront anyone. I saved for 18 months for a car, but what I really gained was worth more than any vehicle: the clarity to see I deserved better, the courage to demand it, and the strength to walk away with my dignity intact. Have you ever planned a surprise that revealed something you weren't supposed to see? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments. And if this resonated with you, if you've ever felt foolish for trusting someone who didn't deserve it, subscribe. These stories remind us that betrayal says everything about the betrayer and nothing about our worth. That revenge doesn't have to be cruel sometimes. It's just refusing to protect someone who never protected you. The Mustang runs beautifully, and every time I drive it, I remember I chose myself, and that was the best decision I ever made.